You have the idea. You have the plan. You even have the energy. But right before you start, right at the edge of doing the thing you know could change everything, something pulls you back, quietly, firmly, like an invisible hand on your shoulder whispering, "Not yet." You call it procrastination. You call it laziness. You call it not being ready. But what if the thing stopping you isn't fear of failure at all? What if you're actually afraid of what happens when it works? It doesn't look like fear. That's what makes it so hard to catch. You start a project with excitement, real momentum. Then, somewhere around 60%, when it's actually becoming something, you slow down. You find distractions. You suddenly need to reorganize your desk. You decide this isn't the right time, maybe next month. Or you get the opportunity you've been wanting, the promotion, the relationship, the acceptance, and instead of joy, you feel a strange tightness, a pull to sabotage. You pick a fight. You miss the deadline by one day. You say something you know will push them away. And afterward, standing in the rubble of something that almost worked, you feel something confusing. Relief. Not happiness, not satisfaction, just the familiar comfort of things staying exactly where they've always been. You scroll through other people's success and think, "I could do that." And you're right, you could. That's not arrogance, it's accurate. But something between knowing and doing keeps swallowing your momentum whole. Your friends think you're unmotivated. Your family thinks you're wasting potential. But inside, you know the truth is stranger than that. You're not afraid of the bottom. You've been there. You survived it. You're afraid of the top because you've never survived that. This isn't a character flaw. It's not weakness or self-destruction. In psychology, this is called an upper limit problem, a term from Gay Hendricks' work in cognitive behavioral patterns. It describes the internal thermostat that regulates how much success, happiness, or visibility you unconsciously allow yourself. Everyone has a set point, a level of good that feels tolerable. When life exceeds that level, when things go too well, your system doesn't celebrate, it panics, and it finds ways to bring you back down to the temperature you recognize. You didn't set this thermostat consciously. It was set for you by early experiences, family dynamics, and the emotional environment you grew up in. Your brain isn't blocking success because it hates you. It's blocking success because it's trying to keep you in the zone that feels survivable. And understanding that changes everything about how you move forward. Here's what's actually happening inside your brain. Your nervous system is wired for homeostasis, the drive to maintain a stable internal state. This applies to body temperature, heart rate, and critically, your emotional baseline. When something pushes you beyond your familiar emotional range, even something positive, your brain registers it as disruption, not reward. Disruption. Your amygdala doesn't distinguish between unfamiliar good and unfamiliar dangerous. It only recognizes unfamiliar, and unfamiliar triggers a stress response. Think of it like this. You've lived your whole life in a small, dim room. You know every corner, every crack. It's not comfortable, but it's mapped. Then someone opens a massive window. Sunlight floods in. It should feel good, but your eyes burn. You squint. You want to close it, not because darkness is better, but because brightness is unknown. That's what success feels like to a nervous system calibrated for struggle. There's another layer. Research in self-concept theory shows that your brain actively resists information that contradicts your identity. If deep down your identity is built on "I'm the one who struggles" or "I don't get to have that," then success creates cognitive dissonance. Your brain resolves it not by updating the identity, but by destroying the evidence. You don't sabotage success because you can't handle the work. You sabotage it because you can't handle the identity shift that comes with it. Rewiring this requires more than motivation. It requires making success feel safe in your body, not just logical in your mind. 3 principles. Principle 1. Identify your upper limit signature. Everyone self-sabotages differently. Some people start conflicts. Some get sick at critical moments. Some suddenly convince themselves the goal wasn't important. Some develop imposter thoughts precisely when they're performing best. Your pattern has a signature. Learn it. This is rooted in metacognition, thinking about your own thinking. Research shows that simply identifying a self-defeating pattern reduces its automatic grip. You're moving the behavior from unconscious reflex to conscious awareness. Once it's visible, it loses authority. Example, you notice that every time a relationship gets serious, you suddenly find a fatal flaw in the other person. That's not intuition. That's your upper limit signature. Name it. Write it down. Watch for it next time. Principle 2. Expand your tolerance window gradually. You can't force your nervous system to accept a new emotional range overnight, but you can stretch it slowly. When something good happens, a compliment, an achievement, a moment of genuine peace, practice staying in it for 10 seconds longer than your instinct allows. Don't deflect, don't minimize, just breathe inside the moment. This works through a process called distress tolerance expansion, borrowed from dialectical behavioral therapy. Your window of tolerance is like a muscle. It only grows through gentle, repeated stretching. 10 seconds of sitting with unfamiliar joy teaches your amygdala that good isn't dangerous. Example, your boss says your work was exceptional. Instead of immediately saying, "Oh, it was nothing," you pause. You feel the warmth. You stay. 10 seconds. Your brain records it as survivable. Principle 3. Update the story underneath. Beneath every fear of success is a narrative, usually installed in childhood, usually invisible. People like us don't get to have that. If I succeed, I'll lose the people I love. Being visible means being a target. I don't deserve more than what I was given. These are core beliefs, deeply embedded cognitive schemas identified in Aaron Beck's cognitive model. They operate beneath conscious thought, filtering every experience through their lens. You don't fight core beliefs with affirmations, you update them with evidence. Collect proof, small moments where success didn't destroy you, where visibility didn't end in punishment, where having more didn't mean losing everything. Keep a quiet record, not to convince others, to convince the part of you that still believes the old story. Here's the model to carry with you. Your brain has a thermostat for how much good it allows. That thermostat was set before you had a say. Every time you approach the upper limit, your system pulls you back to familiar temperature. Healing isn't about smashing through the ceiling. It's about raising the thermostat 1 degree at a time, noticing your pattern, staying in the warmth a little longer, and gently rewriting the story that said you weren't built for more. You've spent your whole life preparing for the worst. You know how to survive hard things. You're built for storms. But maybe the bravest thing you'll ever do isn't surviving another disaster. Maybe it's letting something beautiful happen and not running from it. You don't fear success because you're weak. You fear it because no one ever taught you that you're allowed to have it. You are.